Hello and welcome to The Joy of Writing. I'm your host, Mark Carew. In this series I will be talking to authors about the fun, the satisfaction, the joy they get from writing novels. Today I'm talking with Amanthi Harris, author of Beautiful Place, finding out about her publicity tour and her plans for writing book 2. Amanthi, you've had a very exciting time ahead with your post-publication phase. You had a book tour in India. How did that go?
It was great. Because after Salt bought the book, Pan Macmillan India bought it as well. So it was the book tour was arranged by them. They submitted me for various festivals. So I was invited by 2 literary festivals to come along and take part in some panel discussion. Yes. So it was one in Kerala, the Mathrubhumi Festival, and another one called the Kalagoda Festival, which in Mumbai, which is not just literature, it's everything. It's sort of dance and music and drama. And so, it was amazing being part of these, you're taking part in these panels with people that you wouldn't necessarily meet otherwise. In Kerala in particular, I was on 3 panels, and one of them was an all Sri Lankan panel. It was called, we were labelled, Sri Lankan authors or whatever, and
yes,
one of them was like a big writing hero of mine, Ramesh Gunasekara, whose work I love, and it was so amazing kind of being sort of on this panel discussing, but also kind of seeing how I didn't expect to be identified. So it's the first time I was kind of considered a Sri Lankan author, rather than just an author, and that was a strange feeling. It was a really nice feeling to kind of be part of a certain sort of collective that is, I suppose, a big part of my identity as well, that I grew up in Sri Lanka, and so that was really nice. I wasn't sure if I was qualified because I had grown up abroad mostly. So
right, that's interesting.
Yeah, and there was a sort of feeling of, oh wow, so I'm a Sri Lankan author as well. It's great.
Excellent. So you're standing on stage next to one of your heroes.
Yeah.
Wow, what a feeling! That's tremendous. And how did you take to that? Did you like the reading and the interaction with the audience?
Yeah, I mean the audience in India were quite very, obviously being so close. Geographically to Sri Lanka, they're very aware of the sort of political climate and the historical kind of context to some extent of my novel. So a lot of the questions were quite political, and also the reviews I had there, I had quite a lot of reviews in the sort of the big papers, and they were all very tuned in to the political side of my book, which actually I wasn't aware of fully myself. I certainly wasn't setting out to write a political novel.
Yeah.
But as one of the other members of the Sri Lankan panel, Shehan Karunatilaka, who wrote Chinaman, who's a fantastic, it's a book essentially about cricket. But even he was saying, you set out to write a book about Sri Lanka, and somehow it is political. And so, because we've all grown up with this, war that dragged on for so long.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing to see my book in this other context of not just a sort of a book about some people in a guest house and their interactions, because I very much was focused on the people. And this was another look at the book, seeing it as a sort of political statement, and looking at the sort of I suppose values I give to certain sort of ideas. I mean, I was very concerned about I was interested very much in the idea of community and forming how you create communities of people you're drawn to people regardless of all the different boundaries and barriers, and so the people gathered at the villa have a certain sort of openness to each other, and so that's what and I didn't really see that as a political statement, and I guess it is, where in a country where there's so much is defined by your religion or your sort of background.
And so do you think the audience was surprised that a Sri Lankan author could write about something that wasn't overtly political?
Well, they saw it as political. That's
right, but I mean, you never set out with that in mind, so...
No, and this is... but then the questions I was sent to kind of consider I was able to kind of see, yes, okay, there is a sort of political element to this. So it kind of made me look at the book differently, more than, I don't think it was a surprise to them necessarily, but it was a surprise to me that I had written something political.
Yes.
And
I mean, it's always a surprise when people react, I think, to any book. And in this case, it would be, I guess you'd have to be more sensitive. And did you have any sensibilities that you tried to avoid, any way you didn't want to go with answering, what you'd written?
No, it was very, I really thought it's a great sort of exercise. I mean, first of all, it was difficult talking about the book in this way because I was so long, so immersed in the work, and the writing of it. So it was quite a challenge to sort of see it from outside. Also, I mean, I've done all these sort of interviews in writing beforehand anyway, so I had to have time to think about some of the Indian Grazia did an article and they sent me the questions. So yeah, that was quite glam, that one. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So, but it made me think because they were written questions. I was able to kind of think about those in advance.
Yes, you had some prep.
Yeah, and so with the panels, but also what was really fascinating was that some of the audience were writers too. They were aspiring writers, so lots of the questions are about writing and writing books you'd recommend and influences, and it was really exciting, kind of being in that sort of where everybody was excited about writing and the prospect of published and having something out there.
Yeah, that's terrific. That's very exciting indeed. So you did these 2 large festivals.
Yeah.
Did you do any smaller events, as you might, in little bookshops, libraries, that type of thing?
I did. So then after that, I went to Delhi, where the publishers were, and I did several book signings. There's lots of really wonderful independent bookshops there with sort of several outlets and that kind of thing, and gorgeous bookshops. And so I went to various bookshops and signed books and sort of talked to the booksellers mainly, because that was more of a kind of exercise. I signed loads of books, and one of them had this huge table with my book piled up, and it was really exciting. So it's you kind of don't. It still surprises me to see it in book form. It's pretty much a document for so long. So So
when you're in a bookshop, do you go and find it and stand near it, or just make sure they've got it?
Yeah, I do go and kind of like nudge it out from.
You pull it out, turn it round, show the cover.
Face forward, yes. If I can, yeah. It's really nice whenever you go in and it's there, and
it's a real thrill.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do you think books as part of cultural life are any different in India or Sri Lanka as to the UK?
I mean, there seems to be a buzz there. I mean, I don't know, because I was going in as a visiting author and going on festivals. I mean, maybe the buzz was there in those places anyway, but there really was so much excitement about books, and it made me very kind of pleased, to be around it, and felt inspired and glad I was doing it, which is what you want, because a lot of the time you're on your own, working with full of doubt.
Yes.
Whether,
trepidation.
Yeah.
You think you're barking up the wrong tree. Who's going to buy this, read it, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's the point? What does anybody want this?
Yes.
But there was that feeling of like a welcome, for the book, and for me, I guess. But it was really a sense that I'd tried something out, and there was interest, and people were wanting to engage, and really that's, I suppose, the reason why we do it. I mean, that wanting to connect or communicate, and there was such a nice feeling of that.
So do you think the audience got what you were about?
I'm not sure. I mean, the thing is, I was reading to people who hadn't read the whole book, obviously. So I think maybe if you read the whole book, you might get, because there was a lot of me in there, I suppose, in some way or another. But I read excerpts, that really I connected with a lot, or I really loved writing, And I always had I got a really nice response from those little readings. Like the bit as the owner of the villa is an old architect, and he's adopted this girl, and he looks back on now she's a grown woman, but he looks back on when she first came, and there's this little passage about how and the first time he properly connected with her, and she stopped being afraid of him. And I loved that little extract, and so I read that in a couple of places, and I had such a nice response. And thought, oh, okay, so maybe you're getting that this is it's and then that's so not political. It's very much about a man who loves his daughter and what that's about. And so I think so. So I've tried to pick little bits where the sense of how you can love and feel you grow from loving and caring for someone, all of that's a big part of the book, and so I wanted that. So I've tried in my readings to show the little bits, but I have a feeling you'd need to read the whole book to kind of get a sense of like true what it's all about, because there's other aspects to the book which I don't read in the readings. But I mean the conversations actually help. I mean, I did another event in Delhi which is for a kind of really interesting organization called the Prabha Khaitan Foundation, and they were kind of like a feminist, socially aware, not-for-profit group that they meet, and they're kind of like they have a book club, and I was the first non English book that they use. I mean, it's not translated book, so I'm not making much sense. They usually have books that are translated into English.
Yes.
But that was the first English sort of book that they tried, and there were lots of interesting questions. I did a kind of one-to-one with one of the organisers, and she, we had a big discussion. It was through that discussion, I suppose, a lot of the ideas got opened up, and and people asked lovely questions. And,
I mean, this sounds fantastic, massively positive, and now that you're through one, your debut's there, you've planted the flag in the sand. What are you taking on from that whole experience into writing book 2?
Well, to be honest, I'd actually started another book. But I didn't think anything was going to come of this beautiful place had sort of gone out, and I hadn't heard anything. So I started writing another book, and then of course I got this email from Chris saying he was going to, and so
he'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. Oh my god! So I was a bit
pandemonium in the
house. Oh my god! Yeah, we were living in Spain at the time. It was in the mountains. It felt completely surreal seeing this email just pop up. But I mean, amazing. So, so I shelved that thing. I'd written about 20,000-30,000 words. It was kind of, it was a sort of exploratory kind of bit of writing, but still. So I'm sort of returning to that. But I'm sort of I mean, the thing is, you think you know what you're doing, and then you don't, because it's all new again. It's a completely new project. So I'm treating it as a kind of time of research. I'm reading a lot.
Yes.
I'm working on some short stories that I'm sending out, that I had anyway. I had a Radio 4 commission to write a piece for one of the afternoon sort of short story slots. So I've got this short story, so I thought I'd rework it a little bit, because it's quite short for radio. So I thought I could make it could be a bit longer. And so I'm sort of writing. But,
so you're revising some old stuff that was stuck in a drawer somewhere. Yeah,
and well, the short story for radio I wrote in the last few months. It was. I think it was broadcast in August or something, and so I've lost track of time. But so that I wrote since publication. But it's quite. I think that might be a way into the new book as well. So it's sort of doing little things that will hopefully get my the idea of the next thing completely solidified before I start writing. Because one thing I don't want to do is write tons and have to edit back, which is what I did initially when I first started writing. I wrote, and then there was so much
that's right. And then you have to pick the good bits, and are they really the good bits? And it's a very inefficient process, isn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, I couldn't plan it from scratch. I mean, I'm not somebody who could say, right, I'm going to write this and just write it. So I would have to do a bit of that excess writing and then claw it back and edit it back.
But you write from characters, don't you? So you have to wait for your characters to form and let you know what they'll be up to.
Yeah, and the plot, I find plotting really difficult. That's always my problem. And then I started doing storytelling. I set up a storytelling, like a community project, and I got Arts Council funding to take it out into different community groups and things. So I was working with lots of fairy tales and folk tales, and telling those stories, you really I started to understand how like a plot can be very simple, but you have to be able to be quite bold with it, and if something needs to change, dropping it and changing it to whatever is needed to make it work. So somebody that starts off as a goodie might have to become a baddie to make the plot work, and that kind of.
Yeah, sure.
And I wasn't doing that before, and so after the storytelling, I think I learned to take more risks. And if something's not working, to insert a new plot, or and then tie it into the old plot and make it bolster it up somehow, and to treat it as a more of an organic kind of structure that you could change.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that tension, isn't there? There's the idea of the way it should go.
Yes.
And then, or if you're in the garden, you're thinking, right, I'm going to grow this lot of vegetables or whatever. And then something else happens, some of them don't grow.
Yeah.
Something else appears. I do like the gardening metaphor quite a lot for writing.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. I don't know. You have to just try and get control of it somehow.
Yeah. But at the same time, you have you can make things grow as well. That's the beauty of being a writer. You have that control to that extent as well. So you can decide to grow a subplot that holds the whole thing up in the middle and things like that. You can just do stuff, and I just wasn't that adventurous at first. And I think for a long time I struggled, because it took me 10 years to write Beautiful Place. And I think a lot of it was learning how this to extend the narrative, because I was writing short stories before, and I'd had stuff published and on the radio and stuff, but I just couldn't. I think I was using the same ideas of constructing a short story, but
I see. In novel form, yeah. And
you need that big, strong plot. I think, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it'd be wonderful to write something that didn't need something like that. Just really loose and formless and beautiful. But I don't think you can. Yeah, I think it needs a lot of expertise to do that. So, I needed that skeleton, I think. But
right, which you can throw away, like any scaffold, as you move on. So all the time, your skills at writing are just expanding, developing.
Yeah.
That's such a funny thing to do, isn't it? Write something, and it keeps changing all the time.
Yeah, but also that's the challenge, isn't it? Because it'd be very easy to, I think, follow the template that I sort of finally came upon with Beautiful Place, do sort of swap certain things and make another version of it. And I'm sort of so keen not to, that just wouldn't be any point doing that. I'm hoping I don't even sort of, without realizing it, go and, do that, because the idea, the challenge is in making something new each time, and and so I think that's what I'm using this time for. Sort of, when I was at art college, I used to do this whole kind of ideas research kind of thing, where you'd sort of follow any trail, and you could watch film, you could listen to music, anything to kind of feed your initial idea, and then you came up with something. And I think I'm doing that at the moment. So I'm watching sort of Pina Bausch dance on YouTube, and drawing and sketching and reading sort of folk tales, and I don't think any of this will directly come into the book, but I think it'll help with the structure. I'm thinking in terms of what is this thing? What is it going to be exactly? How will it be shaped? Just so that I can relax and then do the writing, because the writing I love. It's just knowing the form of it.
Yes, exactly.
Just vaguely, even, I think, will be the difference between. I don't want to take another 10 years to write this next one.
No, that I mean, I completely appreciate that. It's got, even though you're feeding your imagination from all various sources, you're trying to get an outline of what this thing's going to be. and once it's there, you'll write it. But it'd be great if it took 5 years or something, or 3.
Or 2, or even 5.
Or it could actually speed up somehow as we all get, much smarter at what we're doing, or whatever it is. But fantastic! Wow, it's great to talk to you about all this. I mean, I'm learning a lot from the authors I talk to, and best of luck with how book 2 comes about.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Amanthi. It's been wonderful. Thank you. Next time, Amanthi and I will discuss advice to aspiring writers and a short story that proved to be an inspiration to her.